Today we meet with Raul Hernandez of Forever Redwood to discuss what goes into making his amazing redwood pieces. Raul, the one thing that I love perhaps as much as gardening is cooking. And of course, we've been working on this outdoor kitchen. And one of the important pieces of making all this work together is having some kind of structure that provides shade and definition to the outdoor kitchen space. And there was a lot of really productive back and forth on like, okay, what really needs to go into this space? What works best? And Forever Redwood has so many options. Some of them are big pavilions, gazebos. I was particularly drawn to your pergolas and the very classic garden pergolas that you've been making for 30 years. And the process of figuring out what is the right structure for this space. You know, we've got an excavated out, flat area with a retaining wall. It's not a huge space, but it's also just going to be full sun without something to provide some shade, kind of enclose this, garden kitchen room. And I think we've settled on an amazing structure, which is a pergola that attaches to the house, roughly 12 foot by 14 foot. We've gone with the narrower slats, so every 6 inches, so we get, what would you say, about a 30% shade factor?
Yeah, more than that.
30 or 40%?
You always underestimate it because the sun's never directly overhead.
Right.
So you're always getting shade from the rafters below and from the slats and at an angle. So that's the sweet spot because you still could see up, you could still see the sky, but you're going to get over 50% shade all the time.
I want you to talk about some of the larger garden structures that Forever Redwood makes. There are many pavilions, like I said, gazebos, pergolas, everything from very classic styles to some super modern stuff that's really, really cool.
We've always let our customers do the designing. They'll send us some conceptual drawing that their engineer came up with, their architect came up with. Right now we're doing a project for the city of Carmel, Indiana. They've got this winter wonderland park that they set up every November through March. They had us build a 70-foot long by 34-foot pavilion. We had to figure out how to take it apart every year. So instead of building it with lag bolts and the way we normally build it, it's got sleeves and stainless steel carriage bolts because they're going to take it apart and put it back up every year for the next 20, 30 years. Yeah, we've done all kinds of jobs. We've done jobs for the Miami Dolphins and for the San Francisco Giants and for the White House. And the thing that really sets us apart is we like to joke that we've got more engineers than carpenters at this point. And that's because that's what it takes to make sure that, we tell people all the time, tell us what you're dreaming, and if you could describe it, we can draw it. And if we could draw it, we can build it.
One thing I love about these large outdoor garden structures is that you really are adding a whole new room onto the house. And when you see the finished product here, where, it's not a kitchen, but it literally looks like a sunroom was added onto the house because of this structure. The structure gives it definition, it gives it like substance, and then it makes it so much more functional to where it becomes truly a year-round space.
And you put it up in 3 days.
Right.
We've already built it. Once you sign off on your working drawings, right, we build it completely, ship it with custom assembly instructions, and you put it up in a couple days. Done. You don't have somebody in the backyard cutting and swearing and
right.
You just put it right up. But yeah, pretty much whatever you need. We only say no when it's structurally unsound, and we'll usually be able to figure out a workaround.
Yeah, I love the fact too that everything that you've made that I've seen is in that old world craftsmanship mindset. It's not like things that we see that are typically made today. It is the way things were made 100 years ago, when craftsmanship actually mattered.
When I started this company, I went to Home Depot and I bought how to build picnic table. I didn't know anything about carpentry. But I also picked up a book on the arts and crafts movement and one of the first catalogs that came out in 1908. And I said, okay, that's what we got to do. And just make a thicker version of it, but go with the traditional old arts and crafts design. And we've always stuck to that motif, But mostly it's our customers. It really is. We just insist that it be a thick timber design, but we like to keep that old-fashioned thing alive. I mean, woodworking. We have a shop with 170 employees in Mexico.
Wow.
But it's not a factory, and I'll never let it be a factory because then you lose the flexibility. Then it's got to be a cookie-cutter solution, which wouldn't have worked for you.
Right.
You had to
Absolutely.
have something special that attached to the back of that, the veranda there, and it had to be custom made, custom sized. Everything had to be custom. You can't do that if you're cranking out 12 by 12s all day long, all the same.
Right, absolutely. You know, one thing I think that is also entirely worth mentioning is that with all the effort that we put into a garden and all the time that we spend and all the enjoyment we get out of our garden, I think it's so important to also go with something that is timeless. If you go with a gazebo that is designed to last 3 years, and you're building a garden to pass down to your kids or to enjoy for the rest of your life, it doesn't make sense. And that's one thing about the design and build that you do is they're designed to be things that will, grow and age and patina along with your garden. They become part of the actual fabric of the garden, and I think that makes them just that much more special.
But yeah, you're going to pay twice as much or 3 times as much for that bench, but it's going to last 10 times longer.
Right.
And it's a piece of art that will always be there.
Well, and it's the story behind it too. It's got an amazing story, beautiful craftsmanship, and it feels like it is actually what belongs in the garden.
Definitely want natural wood in your garden,
Right.
and not plastic or metal.
Absolutely. Raul, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful spending the day with you.